Good morning, everyone. This morning, we're going to walk through the story in my head. The story in my head was a concept we learned from Dr. Brene Brown. Really, what it talks about is how our brain processes information when we don't have all the information. So our brains are wired up to actually release chemicals when we complete a story. So say I don't have all the information. I have a poor interaction, and somehow I manifest what that was. I create that story. My brain rewards me for that behavior. What we want to do is be aware of that as we're interacting with each other, knowing that we could have a bad interaction, and inherently, our brain wants to fill in those gaps. Not only does it want to, it rewards us if we fill in those gaps. What we want to do is really utilize this and empower each and every one of you to have the tough conversation with each other. And we understand that these conversations require courage, and they also take compassion, and they take a lot of humility. But we want to challenge each and every one of you, when you build a story in your head, to be able to walk up to that person and stop and say, listen, after our interaction, I built a story in my head. Can you walk through that with me? And understand, if we're having that interaction, if someone comes to you and expresses they built a story in their head, it's your responsibility to put on your humble hat and listen. One of the big dysfunctions of a team could be taking that story that you built in your head and sharing it with somebody else versus the person that you had the interaction with. Part of our culture and our standards and values is to have that conversation with somebody else, knowing that it takes compassion, takes courage, and takes humility. But we want to challenge each and every one of you to have that conversation with your peer and unpack that story in your head. You all know our values and standards. The story in my head falls directly in line with them and how we use that. If you have any questions about the story in my head, please reach out to your leadership team and unpack that story.